Hi, writers. Today's lesson is planning your story in 3 parts. So, just as in writing, you have a reading partner or somebody that you're going to interview at home, I want you to take some time to think about someone at home that could maybe be your writing partner. It could be the same person, or it might be someone different. Maybe your mom, maybe your dad. Maybe there's a grown up around that's babysitting you, grandparents, maybe a brother or a sister. Think about what would work for you and have them be your writing partner. Remember that when you write a story, usually it includes people who are doing something and then the trouble that starts. A part where the trouble gets worse and a part that ends a story where a solution is found. Writers, you'll see that stories usually go this way. In the first page or two, the characters are doing or saying something, and readers can see the start of the problem. Like, we're reading quietly, doors open, and Mrs. Kennedy is clearly mad. Then the next page or two, the trouble gets worse. She yells at us to be quiet, and we're thinking, huh? We were quiet. Then there is a solution or a change. Writers, let's think about the parts of shortcut. If you haven't yet listened to this story, please make sure you stop the video here and listen to shortcut. Be sure to read the story before you continue. In the beginning, the characters are doing and saying things that show the problem or the trouble. We should have taken the road, but it was getting late and it was getting dark, so we started down the track. Do you see how Donald Cruz sets up the first scene? He has the characters doing something, saying something, and already there are hints of the trouble to come. In that one beginning scene, we see what the characters want to get home quickly. And we see the start of the problem. It was getting late, so they decided to walk on the train tracks. And then in the middle of the story, the problem gets worse and worse and worse, right? Here they are. They hear the train whistle. Now it's getting closer. And they have to continue running. So now it's not just they hear the sound, but now it's getting closer, closer, closer. They've got to get off of there. Finally, Donald Cruz writes an ending part to his story, and the ending is another small moment, this time showing what the characters say and do when the problem is resolved. At the end, the train passes and all the kids are fine. They decide to not walk on those tracks anymore, to not take the shortcut anymore, and they promise each other not to share a word of what happened. The ending is another scene, and like the beginning and the middle, it is like a small moment story. It lasts just a few minutes. Will you try this with the story that you're going to write next? Most of you might have an idea about what you want to write about. Maybe you could talk to your writing partner and they could give you an idea. Remember to use this as you write your true story. First, think of something that happened to you. And here's a hint. In stories, characters encounter trouble. Think of a time that you had trouble, a time where things were hard. Did it get solved in the end? When you are thinking of a problem, writers, I would love for you to think of a big problem. So think about something that really impacted you, something where you really had to struggle with something, but then it got resolved in the end. Think of the parts of your story. What did you do first? That shows the start of the trouble. What did someone say or do that shows the trouble getting worse? How did the trouble get resolved? After you're done thinking, move to step 2, touch and tell. Touch the pages in your notebook and tell the story. Hint: you might want to actually say the words that you're going to write. Number 3, sketch. Sketch what happened on each page. And after you have done those things, then you write. And here's a hint. On each page, just write one part of the story. Your writing partner may want to ask questions. So here are some questions that they might ask you, because we want to be a storyteller when we write. And if somebody is confused about something or wants more information, then they can do this to ask us. So give this to whoever your writing partner is, and then they can ask you questions as they listen to your writing. Here is an example of one student's work. You can see that they sketched. They even wrote the trouble starts, and then they continued writing. If they made a mistake, then they just crossed it out. Writers, remember that this is your time to be writing. If you turn in your work early, then I don't know if you have done each step. I am going to be checking in with you about your stories, so I want to make sure that you are doing it. You should be taking your time as a writer. You're going to get started sketching exactly what happened at the start of your book. Who is doing what? Who is saying what? Are you ready to give this a go? Okay, off you go.